So it is 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I will call this regular meeting of the Village of Fundy Albert Council for November 5th, 2024 to order. It'll be noted that Councillor Land is not here this evening. He sends his regrets, is unable to attend. First order of business is the adoption of the agenda. The agenda for this evening's meeting was circulated in advance. I would propose the addition of item number 12, which is standard, public comments and statements. This would make the closed session item number 13, and the addition. I would also propose the addition of item number 13B, which is the proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land in accordance with section 68(1)D of the Local Governments Act. That would be in the closed session. Do all councillors consent to the proposed addition of the items to the agenda? Not hearing any opposition, all being in favor, I will accept a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. So moved by Councillor Coates, seconded by Deputy Mayor Arrow. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor, signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried unanimously. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to the items on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is the adoption of the minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes to approve this evening, those of the regular meeting on October 1st, 2024, and those of the Committee of the Whole meeting on October 15th. The draft minutes of the regular meeting on October 1st, 2024 were circulated in advance of the meeting. Are there any errors or omissions to report? Not hearing any, I'll accept the motion to adopt the minutes as circulated. So moved by Councillor Jonas, seconded by Deputy Mayor Arrow. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, if any? The motion's carried unanimously. The second set of minutes are those of the Committee of the Whole on October 15th, 2024. The minutes were circulated in advance of this meeting. Are there any errors or omissions to report? Not hearing any, I'll accept a motion to adopt the minutes as circulated.
I'll make a motion.
So moved by Councillor Eldican, seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, if any? The motion's carried unanimously. Item number 5, consent agenda. There are no consent agenda items for this evening's meeting. Item number 6 is public and administrative presentations. We have 2 5-minute presentations registered for this evening. The first is by Mr. Patrick Kemp on the topic of cooperative bank. So Mr. Kemp, you want to come over and have a seat right here at the table? And it is 5 minutes, so.
My best. Just yell at me.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So really, as most of you are aware, we are looking at trying to get a financial institution here in Fundy Albert. What we're looking for today is what I'm asking for is for council to kind of, I guess, rescind a motion or because one of the things we have to do as part of our application for a credit union is to find a couple of different suitable locations that could be approved. We have one currently identified, and the other one that would be prime would be the old Riverside-Albert municipal office. So I guess what I'm asking is, I guess the request, and I'll explain why after, is for council to not sell that property, but consider leasing it for the short term, for the better of the community on this project. So as of right now, we have one location. We need probably 2 more because when we submit an application for a credit union, whether we partner with another institution or not, we only get 1 kick at the can. So basically we have to submit the application as our preferred option. And then for each little piece of the application, we have to have a contingency plan, because what happens is the credit union has their own insurance company that has to inspect each location. So if we submit an application for a credit union and they decide that they don't like our preferred location because, let's say, there's increased robbery risk or liability issues, then our application gets declined. and there's no way to revisit that. So we have to have a contingency plan built in. And one of the things that, if there was an institution or a bank or credit union that's been open for a while, those buildings are grandfathered in for security reasons, but any new location has to, there's an increased bar for risk. So there has to be the ability to reinforce the floor for a vault and an ATM to make sure that nobody could, let's say, drive a car through the side of a building and, steal it. There has to be increased foundation support, and there has to be the ability for seismic alarms for the insurance company to approve a new branch, if that makes sense. So all of that, we could look at, purchasing a location or leasing, but for us, and I guess the business plan, leasing makes more sense because to build a brand new vault from scratch and to build a new ATM vestibule, it's quite expensive. And if this new credit union or an existing financial institution leases the property, at least for the first couple of years, it qualifies for leasehold improvement, cheaper rates for lending, and some grants, depending on how many jobs it creates and that sort of thing. So it's a better opportunity to make it more viable. So that's where I'm at. So I'm asking for, I guess, the support to kind of revisit that, to hopefully have the opportunity to lease it. And because the credit union application itself could take a few more months for everything to kind of go through the process, depending on which way we decide to go. In the interim, I guess Forestdale Home could pay the lease for the property, just to make sure during that time any maintenance that needed to happen or any of those things could be taken care of, because we are in the process of replacing some of the furniture and beds in the home itself, so it could take it over for storage. So it's a win-win, I think, for the community to have a new service and provide some revenue back. But that's my request.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions or?
Well, now that you've done your presentation, we'll go around the table and see if there are any questions for Mr. Kemp in relation to his request. And if I understand correctly, the request would be for council to rescind its original motion to sell the building in favor of leasing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Deputy Mayor, any questions?
No, Mr. Kemp, what I would recommend is that you put your request in writing for that.
Mhm.
But,
Yep.
so we can actually process it in a more formal way.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm certainly supportive of both things you're discussing. I originally had voted against selling them the municipal office. I thought it was rushed. So I would be happy to see it rescind, that motion rescinded. And in terms of the use of that facility for a credit union, I'm very supportive of that, provided everything can, work, that it meets the requirements for you and is sensible to the municipal requirements and needs. But so I would, we put it in writing and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Albert.
Yeah, I as well am very supportive of the initiative that you're trying to do, and we do have a need for a financial institution in Fundy Albert. Just to make change for tourists, it's a win-win for everybody. I would like to see in your proposal the clear outline of what the expectation is from the municipality versus what your expectation is as far as the maintenance, those types of things, because you did have an opportunity to see the building.
Yep.
So it's not a new build, but it is good that you feel that it will work, because that's why I thought you should see the building first. So I am very supportive of your initiative, and I look forward to seeing this all come together.
Thank you, Councillor Albert. Councillor Jonah.
You first made your presentation to us, you had mentioned that a lease would work best just to make sure that the credit union was going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
After. Okay. That's not my question. I am absolutely supportive of this. I think we need to, like Councillor Earl said, get people working to it.
Yeah.
And let us do what we have to do to make this right so we can move forward with it. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coles.
Did I understand that you would lease right away for a year just to protect the property?
Yes, because as of right now, Forestdale Home has a need for storage as we replace furniture, so that's another issue. So in order to, let's say, not have anything happen to the building, we want to make sure that the revenue is coming in for the village to kind of maintain that asset while this credit union application is pending. But either way, whether it's the credit union or something else that we in the proposal, I can sort of put in a purchase option as well.
Okay, that's just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you, Council Coates. Councillor Gordon Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Always encouraged to hear from you. I'd like, first of all, congratulate you for your interest in your request. For that, I believe my only question was timeline. I think you did answer my question with regards to the timeline between when you file and the allocation size. So
Never decided at the moment the presentation will be done. It would have to be in the form of a council deliberations during the committee of the whole meeting. Once we have your request, and then we'll take a look at it and then we'll provide you a response.
Oh, sounds good.
Can I predict one thing?
Yes.
We do have a committee of the whole meeting in 2 weeks. No
Mhm.
pressure.
Yeah, no, also,
If the paperwork took it in there, it's possible that it might make the agenda for the committee of the whole.
I would
Committee of the whole
say,
meeting,
no.
November is very.
Well, we still have to allow the
Yeah.
administration time to weigh in on some recommendations, so the council package needs to be ready by next Thursday. So I don't think that a week allows enough for both of us to get enough information, and so if we could do it for at least the December meeting committee of the whole, I think that would.
sure.
And then it's not like we're going to do anything else with it in terms.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Okay,
Have
thanks.
a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Our next presentation for 5 minutes is Ms. Elizabeth Collins on Riverside-Albert road concerns. Elizabeth, if you'd like to come forward and sit in the chair, please.
Couldn't find the podium. I think it's next door.
That's the downfall of not having a formal council chambers. Typically, we have a podium.
And
We kind of work as best we can. So go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Council. I think this is probably going to be the third winter that I'm going to have to endure having water destroy my property from the road. When they put the road pavement in, they put the catch basins in, they put the catch basins so that the water was running towards people's homes and not down the road. So I was asked to kind of give a little description of what it was about, and so I said, well, unfortunately, when the road running by my place was pre-paved, catch basins were put in the wrong angle, causing all the water coming down the street to run onto my property. My neighbors have taken it upon themselves to dig big catch basins in the property, and one neighbor has put it on their property, and the water is being drained out on mine, it's going underneath my shed. But the property, I've got pictures, and that describes it so much better. I'm going to give it to you, and you can keep it. I don't care what you do with it, as long as you pay attention to it. That would be nice. This is a lilac tree, or it was a lilac tree, okay? It was on my property. It's still there. I'll give you a picture. That's what it looked like, a lilac tree at one time. I had 2 of them exactly like that. Okay, this is the good one now. That's the bad one. Long way here. This is what the water is doing coming down the road onto my property. Flooding. Actually, that's halfway up my driveway, that water. Okay, and I've passed these along, you can have a look at them. And this is my sidewalk, which has been totally destroyed by salt. That's what that tree has been destroyed by, is salt. This is the water running from a catch basin onto my property, okay? I've got several of those pictures. I've been very discouraged with what it's been doing. I now have corner of my home, which has been eaten away by salt. I have a sidewalk, part of my sidewalk underneath my step that's been eaten away by salt. I have that tree that has been killed by salt coming off the road. I would like to see the catch basins repaired. Actually, I know that I can get a 9-inch catch basin with a sock at in Moncton, which can be put in. Would need 5 in order to catch all this water that's coming down. So I hope I don't have to go through a 3rd year of trying to divert the water. I can't divert the water. I tried. It just won't. And when we have those big rainstorms, well, anyway, I'm afraid it's going to, actually, I can rub my hand on the corner of my foundation right now and it will flake off. So that's caused by salt. So I would appreciate if council would pay particular attention to that and to repair what it is that I need repaired, like by putting those 9-inch catch basins in that and a sock. The sock has perforations to perforate it. You can get them at Home Depot. I think they're $10 or something each or something like that. I don't know if you would plan on doing that or not. Anyway, there was another item on it. It was about the tree that council planted, they said they were red maple. I can assure you that this is a swamp maple. I know my trees. And it is reaching out to the lines, and it's causing a hazard, especially in the summer with the leaves and in the winter with the snow. And it's breaking off and it's hitting the wires, and I don't want it to become a problem again this winter, because I have climbed up on a truck, on the roof of the truck or the hood or whatever you want to call it. And I have taken a saw and cut the branches off, and believe me, I'm getting too old to do that now. I'm not doing that anymore. So I appreciate it if you cut that tree down. That's my request, is to cut that tree down and to put in new catch basins. And just on the side, I know I didn't mention this when I sent this, but I would like to see something done with Water Street. I'm scared to death for the school kids traveling in the bus. I know that culvert's going. I can walk across. I won't walk across it. And the grading of the Bicentennial Road, please take care of that, because it is not safe to even walk on anymore, nor is it safe to drive on. So council, if you could address that, please, I would appreciate that.
So the time is up. So we'll go around to see if any of the councillors have any questions. I know I have a couple. Deputy Mayor, any questions?
Yes, Ms. Collins, could you just tell me where your catch basin problem or your property is? I'm just looking at the map here. Where?
5910 King Street,
Okay,
and it is
5910.
5910.
So it's right in front of your.
It's right in front of my property. It's coming right down the main road, and they put all the catch basins on my side and on my neighbor's side as well. My neighbor below me is having a real problem as well, but I can't speak for him. I can only speak for myself.
Okay. Is that it, Councilor?
Yeah.
Or Deputy Mayor?
Yeah.
Councilor Elderkin?
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it, and I'm not sure. I guess we'll wait to see what happens with the Director of Operations to see if this can be looked at or not. And as far as the Bicentennial Road and the altars and stuff on Water Street, that has already been brought up as well. So I appreciate your bringing it up. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Jonah?
Just was wondering, in fact, we had to clarify that. This, you said this is the third winter, so this was a paving job done 21, 22, right around that area?
They put in a sewer system in
Okay.
and it ran down and they put the connections into our homes. And, but they had to tear up the road in order for it to be done.
Right.
And they had, I even asked them if they could please straighten up the catch basins and put them properly so that they weren't leaning towards our properties.
Right.
And they said, oh yeah, that's not a problem. It'll be perfect when we're done.
So the work was done by the village at the time or by DPI?
I think the village hired someone to do the water system
Okay.
and,
Thank you.
the sewer system.
Sure.
Hey, and Councillor Coates? It was done, what, 3 years ago, or,
I'm thinking this is the third winter for me.
I'm so sorry, I remember them doing.
Yes,
that. And it was a contractor.
it was a contractor,
But I don't know the contractor.
but the village approved it because I was out there talking to the contractor and if there was a councillor there and they said it looked all right to them, but anyway, it didn't.
Also, Elder can probably give us who was his contractor.
Well, I'm thinking it's been more than 3 years ago.
It could be, I
Could be four.
lose track of time. This could be my fourth winter. I don't know, but I do know that it's been,
Because we've been amalgamated for 2 years, and then prior to that was COVID, and there wasn't any big construction. I
it hasn't been that long ago because,
have to look back and see.
yeah, because the person who was the engineer on it, we actually had him hired to do something in the park and outside the park.
So
So,
we'll look back and find the
Yeah.
details.
That's all I have. Fine.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Russell?
Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. Just curious if do we know how to make this plan for our catch basins? We are working on it, yes, you are working on it. So I think it's important that those catch basins are maintained and cleaned properly I know that, City Mountain cleans on a regular basis, they have a plan, so, if they are with debris, I mean, it's not going to go down them as fast as what it should.
they
So,
don't have debris in them.
there's no leaves,
That's not the problem. The problem is the catch basin was put in wrong.
But again, it is important to make sure that they are maintained and that the water has somewhere to go if they can go that way, but yeah.
I see the maintenance people going around and checking them to make sure that they're clean, but that's not the problem.
All right, thank you very much. The questions I have is, number one, you mentioned that the maple tree was planted by the village.
Several years ago, even before I was in council, the village decided that we needed red maples. However, there were several swamp maples that were planted and that's one of them. And you can't kill one of them. Actually, it broke off and that's how it grew, it looked like that. And, it's pretty hard to kill a swamp maple. So
Is that on the right of way or is that on your property?
it's actually on your property because it comes through from the middle of the road to the middle of my lawn is actually part of the village property.
Okay.
So that was planted on the end of my driveway, so you know that you own that.
Well, no, I'm just asking the questions. And it appears to me like, well, obviously we have to get our director of operations to take a look at it. But it appears to me that the road is a little higher than the end of your driveway. So whether or not that was an engineering problem or whether your driveway is just lower than the road might be part of the problem.
Never was until they put that new pavement in.
So we'll get someone to look into it and provide you a response. If you're looking to have this resolved in preparation for this winter, I think it might be a bit of a stretch.
Well, I can do it myself. I can get someone else to, I've already asked somebody if they will be willing to
Can't dig up a regular.
I understand, but you have to understand, I don't want any more destruction.
I can appreciate that. We'll obviously, and we may have to reach out to the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure because I have a vague recollection of when the construction of the road took place. That would go back probably 3 or 4 years ago for sure. And I don't recall, we would have to check to see if that was done under the provincial municipal highway partnership plan, where the municipality pays a certain amount and DTI pays a certain amount. That is Route 114. And if DTI is the one that was the primary group involved in the design of that work, then we may have to tap into them to get a response, but we'll get you a response.
Okay, thank you. My recollection is that the village finished the job from the year before, or 2 years before that. That was a finished job when they did that piece. So
I remember the road being up and
yes,
them having done some
All our
work, and it was
property.
kind of patchy, and then they repaved the whole thing. I think they started somewhere around somewhere around Bicentennial Road and went all the way down
Yes.
to the
Yes,
bottom.
they did.
corner.
Yeah.
So that may have been in 2021, maybe, I'm thinking, but we'll find out for sure.
but what they did was they put in fill and then they built up with the pavement, and that's why it's higher.
Yeah.
And so the catch basin that is causing the problem above me
Yeah.
is the one that's destroying my tree. And the other one is destroying my driveway and everything else. So
We'll have our director involved.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And you're more than welcome to remain for the remainder of the council meeting. I'm just, were there anyone here registered for a 2-minute presentation? No? We will move on. Item number 7, reports and recommendations from committees and private meetings. So there were a number from the committee of the whole meeting on October 15th. There was the potential for a motion related to the Christmas in the Country grant request. At the October 15th, there was a discussion by council for the grant request for Christmas in the Country. So if someone would be so kind as to read that motion, if you're so inclined.
I move that the council hereby approve a grant of $2,500 to cover the cost of printing and signage for the upcoming community event, Christmas in the Country, scheduled to take place on November 30th and December 1st, 2024, at various locations throughout Fundy Albert. Additionally, it's recommended that reusable signage be considered to both sustainable and reduce future costs.
Moved by Councillor Albert. Is there a second on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? Just if you
I have a question, the grant of $2,500 is proposed to be issued to who? Because Christmas in the,
Yeah, it's the, maybe the acronym.
yeah, okay, very good, okay.
Any other discussions? There being none, all in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion's carried unanimously. So the next is a potential motion related to Codiac Cycling Trails requirements. There are 2 requests from Codiac Cycling Trails that are tied together. One is for the municipality to pay the liability insurance premium for that group while they are working in so doing volunteering in the White Rock recreational area. The second is for the municipality to provide funding in the amount of $6,000 for maintenance in the municipal recreation area for the 2025 budget year. Is there someone prepared to read that motion? Councillor Jonah.
Be it resolved that the council hereby approves the request from Codiac Cycling Trails, CCT, for the procurement of liability insurance in the amount of $2,575 annually. Be it further resolved that council approves the request from CCT for the ongoing maintenance costs of the White Rock recreational area not to exceed $6,000 in 2025 for repairs and upkeep of the existing trail system. Be it further resolved that the new agreement between the CCT and the municipality be drafted, presented at the committee of the whole meeting January 21st, 2025, and contain at least the following. CCT Board of Directors presents to council each March to September an update of their work and expenditures. CCT will review the insurance premiums on a yearly basis and seek cost savings where it can. CCT and the administration new maintenance costs annually as part of the budget for the upcoming year. And CCT presents to council any trail development plans, i.e. trail consultant to draft a 5-year plan for approval.
So moved by Councillor Jones. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Jones, any?
Yes, I've got a few things. CCT took management of White Rock in 2016. At the time that they took the management of it, there was a few locals that were trying their best to do what they could, but it just wasn't working well. So CCT took it in 2016. By 2018, 2019, we were starting to hear we have some actual world-class trails in White Rock that the bikers were beginning to recognize. When they originally took the trails, there was 26 kilometers of trails, and since then they've added an additional 7 kilometers of trails. CCT is actually, White Rock is the second most utilized recreation facility in Fundy Albert that we own, next to the arena. And at our local strategic plans session, I picked up on a couple of things that we were talking about. Village services, which develop a master plan for recreation. And under the infrastructure, define inventory of municipal trails and maintenance plan. To me, CCT has done a fantastic job. And for a cost of what, $8,000, this is the deal of the day to have them to do it. Really next to actually Party Pizza down at Sopranos, that's probably the best deal that we're going to get here tonight. I truly believe we should support this and continue working with and give the Codiac Cycling what they need to do their fantastic work.
And so will you be?
Oh, absolutely support, yes.
Thank you. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, in principle, I'm supporting the work of CCT and such. I've said in previous meetings that the $6,000 requirement for repairs and upkeep should be part of a broader discussion for our recreation facilities for all of Fundy Albert. I previously put in correspondence to administration with a list of questions that required answers for all our recreation facilities, and we have not seen that yet. Perhaps we'll see that as part of the 2025 budget process. So what I would recommend is that we table the approval of the $6,000 for 2025 until such time as we have the full discussion for all the recreation facilities for Fundy Albert in 2025, which is going to happen within the next month. Within the next 30 days, we are expected to have these discussions. So I think it's premature to be singling out this particular expenditure for 2025 without looking at them all and to see how it fits in. I do believe that having the CCT provide their board of directors, provide information to council as is explained in this motion is a good idea. And the liability insurance is also a good idea, but probably it should be part of our budget discussions as well. So I would recommend that we table this motion for at least a month.
So procedurally, there's only two possibilities. One is to table the entire motion.
Yeah.
Second one is to amend the motion to remove one or, well, if you're only suggesting to remove one of the elements of the motion, then we can do that procedurally. But otherwise, if your motion to table is for both, then that can be made.
I think that
Your motion to table
the whole thing
would have to be seconded and would have to be approved by council. So I take it you're moving to table this.
Yeah, table the motion and for at least a month.
Is there a second? No, stay on. Is there a seconder on the motion to table? Seconded by Councillor Ward Russell. Any discussion on the motion to table? Deputy Mayor, no, fairly straightforward on your reasoning for it. Councillor Ward Russell?
Maybe
Councillor Jones?
back in July, we started talking about this and we're still gonna do what we seem to do, part of the table, something, and I'll make a decision. I don't think this seems to be a no-brainer to me. Maybe I'm not saying something, but I don't agree with table. I really believe it needs to be put through.
So you'll be voting against that motion to take it. Anyone else? Yes, Councillor Coates.
I believe, like a while ago, I asked that they provide a second quote on the liability insurance. Did we ever get any?
The responses to the questions, I believe, and our CEO can correct us, there have been 4 previous discussions on this. There were answers to the questions, some of which there were no answers to the questions. And some of them, I believe, maybe I'll let our CAO speak, but I believe some of them were not even pertinent to this request. Anyway.
The council report form from the last meeting was very detailed and had all of those questions in an annex and what answers we were able to provide.
From the committee of the whole.
Yeah. So,
And no, there was no second quote, because it's impossible for them to find insurance. So for them to get extra quotes, it's very difficult.
you'll be supporting tabling the motion. Councillor Elder.
I very much see the importance of this. I think my angst comes from not knowing how the budget is going to fall out. We don't know, we're going into budget deliberation, so I don't think by postponing this for 30 days, should we have those deliberations, I think would provide comfort on many levels.
All right. So I will make a couple of comments. One is that trails is part of our strategic plan. And so we have an obligation that the public have told us that they want us to invest in trails. Secondly, this is the 5th meeting where we have brought this up and we keep kicking the can down the road. But for that reason, I will be voting against the motion. So, anyway, other discussion. Not all in favor of the motion to table the motion, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councillor Jonah and I. So the motion is adopted with Councillor Jonah and I voting against it. So the motion is tabled. All right. Thanks very much. The next one is forming the Fundy Albert Rural Plan Committee. An outstanding commitment by Fundy Albert is to form an ad hoc committee whose job it would be to review the proposed Fundy Albert Rural Plan, consider input from the community, and make recommendations to council for submission to the Planning and Review Adjustment Committee through Plan 360. A revised draft would then be brought back to a public meeting. So a resolution was adopted on October 1st, 2024 to form this committee. Who on council is prepared to sit on the committee? We need, and the way our procedural bylaw is written, it's on my recommendation that we appoint individuals. And I would suggest that because Councillor Alberton and Deputy Mayor Arrow were the ones that suggested that we go down this road, particularly for this process, that both of you be appointed on the committee. Barring that, we don't have anyone on the committee, so we made a commitment that we would have a committee, so we need to have that. So, but that would require a motion council to appoint both of you on the. So, is there a motion?
They had to say on this at all, if they don't want.
Well, it's either we appoint someone on the committee or we don't have a committee. That's the trouble.
Well, I'll make the motion to open up the discussion, sure.
Yeah, we can change, we can amend the motion.
Alton and Deputy Mayor.
Okay, on the committee. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion?
The only thing I would say is I'm not sure did we poll the council to see who
I asked at the last meeting, and No one,
No one wants to do it.
no one wants to.
Okay, well, then I'll step forward.
Councillor Elderkin?
Well, I just want to be clear, I don't think it was just two of us that voted to have, go back to listen to what the community was saying. Did I misunderstand this question? It went to a vote.
Right.
So why would Councillor Arrow and Councillor myself be pinpointed as the ones that started?
I indicated that because both of you appear to be very supportive and in fact advocating for a committee listening to all the comments.
Absolutely.
So
So if no one on council, then by all means, I will join Councillor Arrow for this committee because the people were spoke and they were very clear. And I thought we had the support of the other council, that it wasn't just two of us.
Right.
So
if you don't want to be on the committee, then who else wants to sit on it?
I don't think that I think that this belongs to all of Fundy Albert, and I think that all councillors should be on this committee.
No, I won't agree with it. It's got to be two members of council, can't have all of council. It's not a committee of council, it's rather an ad hoc committee created by council.
I would go on with that. I'm not interested in chairing that, but I find those are two very good councillors sitting on the other side of the table with me.
So you would be willing to sit on that
I
committee as well?
sit with the two of them, absolutely.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd sit on it, but I'm not on the chair.
Anyone else? I think 4 is getting a little cumbersome because you're only going to have 4 other people on the committee. A committee of 8 is a lot.
Councillor
Folks?
wants to do it, I'm good, but if he didn't want to, I would definitely do it.
can I say something?
Sure.
I think it's important to have councillors from different areas. That was part of our problem, that these different boards had different previous rules that we followed. So I think it's good to have the voice of the other councillors at the table.
So are you suggesting that you not be on the committee and Councillor, we have to form this committee, Councillor.
I understand what you're saying. I'm welcoming Councillor Jonah to the committee.
Right.
In addition to that, I think he'll bring a good perspective. And why is it limited to 4 people?
I thought you limited it to 4 people. A committee, when you start to get upwards of 5 and 6 councillors on the committee, that's too many. It's like if council wants to appoint all of council, great. But I warn you that becomes very cumbersome to have every member of council on an ad hoc committee.
No, I think you mentioned that we were only having 4 people from the community on this committee.
That's what the recommendation from Deputy Mayor Harrow at the last meeting.
Okay.
Well, the resolution that was passed is quite clear that there would be, the committee would be formed from elected members of council, doesn't say how many, and constituents representing the 4 existing rural plan bylaw areas. So at least 4, yeah.
Any other discussion? So I need an amendment. If there's going to be more than Deputy Mayor Harrow and Councillor Elder, I need an amendment to add Councillor Jonah to the committee. And whether or not Councillor Coates is going to be on the committee as well. Your motion stands. So that right now it's 2. My motion stands.
I'll make a motion to modify the motion that Councillor Jonah join the committee of the rural plan with Councillor Arrow and myself.
Is there someone who will second that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor John. Any discussion on the motion to amend the original motion? So the motion is to amend the number of council members from Deputy Mayor Arrow and Councillor Elderkin to include Councillor Jonah. On the motion to amend, all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any. Motion's carried. So the motion to amend on the original motion, which has now been amended to include Deputy Mayor Arrow, Councillor Elderkin, and Councillor Jonah. Any discussion on that motion now that it's been amended? If not, all in favor signify by stating aye.
Right.
Opposed to it? Motion's adopted unanimously. There we go. All right. So, the next item on the reports and recommendations from committees, are there any updates on the Emergency Measures Committee? No. No. Anything to report on the Personnel Committee? No. Anything to report on Water and Wastewater Bylaw Consolidation?
No.
Item number 8, reports from administration. So there's an update on the surrender of lease to the Canadian Railroad Historical Association. I believe, Ms. Severn, you have the report?
It is just a quick update. So our lawyers completed the surrender of lease document, which was submitted to the Department of Natural Resources and Energy Development on October 29th, 2024. And we did receive a response back from them indicating that they will review the information that we have provided and be in touch. So we're waiting to hear back on that for final signatures, and then we'll be able to complete that action plan.
Thank you. Any questions for the CAO? No? Item number 9, bylaws. There are no bylaws to present this evening. Item number 10, mayor and councillor statements. We'll start with Councillor Jonah. Councillor Jonah?
Yeah, I've had a few people reach out about the paved job on Fundy Albert and wondering if they will be coming back to take the big dip of the line. The dip out of the bottom of Fundy Albert.
I will have to follow up with our director of operations.
I've had a few people reach out that they find we spent over $300,000 and they've got a big dip where they've, well, first of all, they put up bump signs, really if you follow them paving, and then there is quite a significant dip, especially if you're coming from Moncton into coming south on 114. There's quite a dip there on the bottom where they pave. So as people ask me, you know, if we're going to be leaving that, if we're going to fix it, or what's going on with that. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor Topus.
The only thing I have is on bylaw for building permits. We report a place that may not have a permit or to 360 or how do we go about it?
I believe the current system, the way that the current system works is that it's based on complaints. So if a neighbor or an area resident sends a report to Plan 360, they'll investigate, but they typically do not just go out and proactively look for buildings that are being erected without permits. When a person applies for a permit, you know this firsthand, you're supposed to post a copy of your permit inside your structure. But there currently, and I've raised this with the Hillsborough Council before, there are folks who are building structures and or buildings and or additions to their houses without permits. And in doing that, they're basically increasing the value of their property assessment without paying the proper property taxes on. Yes.
Let's just point out that could be a bylaw enforcement thing if we had bylaw officers able to do that. But we only have bylaw for 16 hours a week, and we've only given them, dangerous and slightly so they don't have a mandate right now to look for building permit issues.
So really you can just send it in and you send it through 360.
Yep.
See,
Yes.
The complaint form is available on the Plan 360 website.
Yeah. But if you had something you were concerned with, you can send it to me and I'll follow.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Ward.
No, I think I'll.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
I just have a few things. I did receive my regular monthly report from Fundy National Park. There's not much to report. A lot of the park facilities have gone into sort of dormancy mode for the winter, but there are still a number of campgrounds are open. At least the headquarters is open, and they're looking forward to quite a few site nights in the park throughout the season, and their winter offer is happening. In terms of feedback from the community, I've received some requests from the community concerning budget requests for services for the coming year. I forward that through to our administration. As we all know, the 2025 budget deliberations are just starting to get going. We expect that the budget might be available for voting even by the December timeframe, I believe is what we're targeting. And I think that there's going to be an announcement within the next few days about the dates where the public could engage with council, or at least witness council deliberating on our budget proposal for 2025. So stay tuned for that. That's coming. That's it.
Good, thank you. Councillor Albert.
I attended the Albert County Chamber of Commerce Awards evening with Councillor Coates. It was a lovely evening, held at the Purple Cape Rocks. Lots of talent and lots of businesses in Albert County, so congratulations to them all. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. For my part, update on the Golf Club Road culvert, there's really nothing specific to report in this regard. I'm still waiting for a response on the status of the wall walk permit. And of course, we've got our application into the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board for consideration of the borrowing authority for that project. And there are a number of implications, including needing our 2023 audited financials, which are, as I understand it, next week now. So stay tuned for that. On October 26th, a number of us attended the unveiling of the new fire truck purchased for the Riverside-Albert Fire Department. It was certainly a proud moment to see this become a reality. Thank you to all who made this possible, including Councillor Elderkin, members of the Riverside-Albert Volunteer Fire Department, our administrative personnel, and Mr. Doug Hamer, former Town of Riverview Fire Chief. The purchase of this important asset will help ensure residents of Fundy Albert continue to receive optimal fire protection services. I also would like to congratulate MLA Sherry Wilson on her election as the MLA for the riding of Albert Riverview in the recent provincial election. Our council looks forward to working in collaboration with Ms. Wilson on projects and issues of importance to Fundy Albert. Last but not least, on Monday, November 11th, is an opportunity for all residents to acknowledge sacrifice paid by our veterans so that we can enjoy the freedoms we have today. On November 11th, I urge all residents to come out and honor our fallen heroes and to recognize those who keep us safe each and every day at home and abroad. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I just on that point, just to remind anybody who might be in the Alma area that the Remembrance Day ceremony is planned for November 10th at the Alma Activity Center, as for many years, and there's a full event happening beginning at 11 o'clock.
Right. Thank you. Number 11, notices of motions and resolutions. I believe Councilor Ward Russell may have a notice of motion to present.
It's a new thing. And please go ahead and read that.
Okay.
The motion is titled Motion to Enhance Physical Reporting to Include Subunits and Project Performance. Whereas regular physical monitoring of revenues and expenditures allows comparisons to the budget in order to identify discrepancies, promote awareness of physical and operational performance of municipality and its operations and projects. And whereas the budgets are created in part accordingly to plan revenue and expenditures, attributed to specific subunits, while other budget revenues and expenditures are shared among the subunits, sometimes equally shared or other times not. And whereas regular physical reporting according to the subunits permits easier preparation of the next year's budget, which has unique tax rates established according to the individual subunits. And whereas the council recognizes the enhanced physical reporting requires administrative resources to implement and maintain, the council also believes that this is needed to receive proper ratings among the subunits. That is, enhanced physical reporting is essential. Be it resolved, the council hereby directs administration to begin effective immediately to provide regular reports of fiscal position of revenue and expenditures according to the individual subunits and the aggregated total of the municipality. Additionally, the regular report shall identify the areas of improved work plans that are failing to be achieved and or expected to cost considerably more or less than the budgeted number.
So that is the notice of motion presented by Councillor Lord Russell. So in accordance with our procedural bylaw, the written copy of the notice has been presented to the clerk before the adjournment of today's meeting. The notice of motion will be recorded in the minutes of today's meeting and will be placed under the reports from administration portion at the next regular meeting, at which time the motion will be considered by council if Councillor Lord Russell is present. You need to be present at the next meeting. And it's to be done by voting, or council could direct additional information from administration. The notice of motion itself, as made tonight, is not debatable. When the motion is entertained at the December regular meeting, it will be debatable at that time. The councillor may petition council to address the motion immediately by dispensing with the notice, but this requires unanimous approval of the members present here this evening. Well, thought I would mention it. So, any questions on it? I'm not asking for questions on the motion. I'm just any clarification on the process.
Will the written motion be shared with all of us for review?
That will be in the minutes. Yeah, it will also be in the minutes of the meeting for tonight. They will be recorded. The motion will be recorded in the minutes. All right. So item number 12, public comments and statements. Anyone have any comments or statements to make from the public? So we'll allow 15 minutes or so for that. Yes, Mr. Blewett.
Just a quick question, are we allowed to know exactly what's going on with the railroad museum leasing? This lease thing you guys were talking about earlier, the railroad museum,
Yes.
lease that you're talking about with the village. Are we allowed to know exactly what's going on, what's happening?
So it's been in the minutes, but also the fact that what this is that we have been asked to facilitate the transfer of the property from the province to the New Brunswick Railroad Museum. Right now, currently, there is a lease there's two leases right now. There's a lease for the rail line that runs from Route 114 near the old post office all the way around to Weldon. That is leased by the New Brunswick Division of the Canadian Railroad Historical Association, onward.
Yeah.
And then the second parcel is a small parcel that the replica train station sits on. So what we are doing is we are surrendering the lease that the building sits on. So that's really all we're doing. We have no interest in the lease of the land any further because the transfer of the title of the building has gone over to the New Brunswick Railway Museum. That's really what this is about.
They're buying the land, they're receiving the land from
All we are doing is we are surrendering our lease, because right now, the lease on that small parcel is under the name of the Village of Hillsborough, now Fundy Albert, and expires in 2028. So we're just taking the step and informing government that we are no longer interested in that lease and we're surrendering the lease. That's all. The building transfer has already been done, and the lease of the land that the railway is on, that is already under the name of the Canadian Railroad Historical Association. Is it fairly straightforward?
Yeah.
Perfect. Anybody else? Yes, Ms. Scott.
I would like the full council to contact the Department of Transportation. Because I live not very far away from the four corners of the 915 and the Water Street and the 114 and coming down through Albert. We need either a yield sign or a stop sign because somebody's going to get killed there. It's very dangerous. I've come pretty close to somebody hitting me. I'm coming from Alma and they're going to the 915 and they're going right through without stopping. We need our yield sign back or else our stop sign. It used to be there. And we have children who are driving bicycles down that road and coming up that road and cars don't slow down. So I would appreciate it if the council would approach Department of Transportation
and see if we can get that sign put back up there again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so we do have a number of closed session items. So I will call on someone from council to move to go into closed session. So moved by Deputy Mayor Arrow, seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor, signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, folks.